And it reminds me too, like you talking about like not wanting to hate yourself. And like, that was also part of the journey that I took when I said like, I don't feel good enough. I feel like nobody likes me and all that. The inward journey, like it seems counterintuitive, but for me, it's about going into it where you think you're like, oh, I just want to like push it away.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't want to feel that way. You know what I mean? I
Right.
want to push it away so I can go out and like do what I need to do. But the secret is to go inward and to like
Exactly.
bring the energy, bring the breath, and say I'm here to listen. Like, oh, you don't feel good enough. Like, why don't you feel good enough? And like go into it. And sometimes there'll be like
Embrace
a
it.
memory attached.
Hmm.
And you can go into the memory and like really experience the memory, like, oh, and just like love that part, love the part. Cause it's like, you don't want to love the part that feels those, icky feelings, but it's important to love those parts and give those parts a voice because that's how they unravel.
Start with asking you your story. So, shall we start?
Sure.
Great.
So I'm a Shiva Murti healer and teacher. I've been doing this practice. It comes from Bali, Indonesia. Um, in Bali, there's this huge sort of focus on devotion and spiritual practice.
Yeah.
And, they are constantly in a state of devotion. Like if you go to like a restaurant or like a sneaker store or anything like that, there'll be like an altar. Like even like, in a clothing store, there'll be like a little altar where they give offerings and they're constantly in a state of devotion. And when you go to someone's house, like everyone's house has a temple. So their like connection to totality, God, the quantum field, like whatever you want to call it, like is so strong. And healing is a big, huge part of their culture. It's like, from ancient times, they've been really into healing and they actually don't understand like why we don't have healers in America, like why it's not common.
Uh-huh.
And their particular sort of, like I said, entrance into totality and their like channel is so powerful. And so that's where this work comes from, the Shiva Murti healing. And so I've been doing this work and teaching this work.
And is that what makes you most attracted to this work, or what's
Yeah, because
most
I've been doing healing work for over 20 years. It's definitely my passion. I've always been a seeker, and it just really seemed like healing work was a way that I could explore my inner consciousness and then also be of service to others. That's another big part where I just want to help others. I want to heal myself and then heal others. And so, I got my start where I went to this amazing healing art school up in Northern California near the Oregon border. And it was immersive. You lived there, you ate there. You're totally isolated. And I studied, shiatsu. I studied Chinese medicine, studied East Indian chanting and shamanic journey practices. So it was like this whole smorgasbord of all these different healing practices where I could really go inward. And the interesting thing too was it was because it was isolated, we get bombarded by like so much advertising and so much stimulation, and our like consciousness automatically like sort of gets really small. We hold
just
it
driving down a freeway or a road, you have to, disconnect, or don't have to, but that can
Yeah,
help you
it's so true.
disconnect. Yeah.
And then so to be isolated like that, and when you're not getting bombarded, it's like your consciousness like sort of expands. And I remember one time I was like walking down this trail and the wind was blowing through the leaves and I could feel the leaves like my consciousness was so like expanded that I was like in the tree, like feeling the leaves. I could actually feel it. And so it's like, our consciousness has the ability to like really expand.
Oh, they talk about that in the gardening books, or the spiritual gardening books at Findhorn. It's like normal, right?
Yeah.
It can be normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what type of people do you work with, and what sort of results can people expect? Is it sort of like I have a sore throat, or I've got a injured knee, or
It could be a
I'm
whole, like, I mean,
depressed?
it doesn't matter like age or whatever you have going on. It heals like a variety of different pains and ailments. Like I had a client that had chronic low back pain, just terrible. And he was about to do Vipassana, which is a meditation retreat, and it's for 10 days. So he's like, oh, I have to go sit for 10 days. And I'm like, so terrified. I'm going to be in pain the whole time.
Mhm.
And then so I did the Shiva Murti healing on him, and he didn't have pain after the session. And then he wrote me after his retreat, and he was like, I went through the whole retreat. I didn't have any pain. And, arthritis, like I had a client that had terrible arthritis on his thumb, huge bump. And, after a session, the arthritis pain went away. And then he texted me back like months later and said the bump went away as well.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I've been studying and teaching Qigong, which is ancient China's practice of breath work and movement and intention to heal. And is it similar in that you're clearing energy blockages?
Yep. That's exactly what it is. I think there's definitely overlap between sort of the Balinese and the Chinese medicine. And, the Balinese, it's sort of a syncretism between, Hindu, like Vedic ideas and energies, and then also sort of the more pre-Hindu, which is like more animistic, more like we're connected to everything. Everything has a spirit. Everything has an energy. The mountain has its own spirit. The sea has its own spirit. And like we're connected to all that energy. So it's like the mixture between that more shamanistic mixed with the Vedic that like makes it powerful. But also you have, the 5 elements within this practice as well. And then you have the 5 elements in Chinese medicine. So I think there's definitely a lot of overlap.
Well,
you
I
also
think
have the
maybe,
idea.
the ancient people like the Bushmen, I've studied them, and the kahunas in Hawaii and the South American, the Peruvian shamans and whatnot, I've also been reading with. I think it was quite natural and accepted for a long time. And then along comes Western medicine, which is only a couple, 250 years old. That's my background. And so it took quite a while to come from this Western belief system that you needed to have a doctor and a pill and a surgery to get better. Oh, I've got pain. Oh, give me a pill. Well, I just worked with someone this morning who we just did 8 minutes of Qigong, deep breath, the invocation that I'm connected to the universe, and it went away. Just blocked chi. It can just be blocked chi. It doesn't have to be cancer.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you want to get educated on both sides and see what feels right to you.
It's so important.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that it's coming into the US, like more and more from all different directions.
Exactly. Do you think it has anything to do with building one's confidence? Like this is a coaching for confidence or with confidence group that we're broadcasting into and others. But what I've found is that a lot of the coaches coming in are new and they're spreading their wings. They've got some doubts and fears and, can I live my dream? And everybody wants to be a coach. This is the negative mind. With COVID, everybody's on Zoom and wants to be a coach. How can I compete with that? And can it help with our mood and our confidence level?
Oh, definitely. Like for me, like my core is like, I'm not good enough. Nobody likes me. I can't do it.
That's hard to believe. It used to be, you mean, when you were growing up, or you were conditioned that way?
For a long time. And I just feel like the healing work and the going inward and my meditation practice has allowed that to sort of blossom and to sort of unravel. There was one meditation that I did all the time that really helped because my anxiety is like really centered in the heart. So like when my anxiety acts up, I like go shoot, my heart tightens up and then I kind of withdraw. And then so I would always do this meditation where I go in through the nose and then down into the heart and then in through the nose, down into the heart. And what that would do is like clear my mind. So if my energy was up here, worry, stress, it would bring that down and then into my heart where it could sort of expand my heart and start to loosen it and to unravel that anxiety and just release it. So it was doing double duty. Like I stopped having crazy thoughts and then also calmed my heart. And like opening the heart is a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you probably know Heart Math Institute
Mhm.
in Northern California too. They're showing the electromagnetic field of the
Mhm.
heart. It's a toroid or a donut shape around your heart. And
Mhm.
you can sense when there's a reason why, you may just meet somebody and you don't like them. Maybe their heart field is
Mhm.
very small, but we can certainly, what you're talking about is also affecting the electromagnetic field of our
Yeah.
heart and our consciousness. And you
Mhm.
can kind of interconnect with other people's and expand. And so there's what I like now is there's science also,
Yeah.
Western science behind. It's kind of dragging Western science along, but they're starting to open up to these ancient practices that
Yeah.
really work, really work.
Yeah.
I'm in love with them too.
Mhm.
And well, I know you have an event coming up and you probably have a class link or something on your
Yeah,
website or
definitely.
whatever.
I have two things. I have a class where I teach this work, and then we also do complimentary healing socials. So in Bali, they do these things called socials because it's karma yoga is very important, like being of service. And so once every other month, they'll have like the community come and anyone can come and get a free healing. So I'm doing that as well here in the US. And so
Over
every month
Zoom,
over
probably.
Zoom, yeah. So
Oh,
you can pick
nice.
anyone in the world and come on, and it's totally safe. And yeah, anyone can come and get a free healing. And not only if you don't want a healing, but also if you want to see this work in action because it's so powerful. And it's so epic to see like people get healed in real time.
Right. Now, what I see, again, coming from Western medicine, there's skepticism about this. And what if you don't believe that this is really real and la la la? What would you
Yeah, I
say
mean
to
that's
that?
the thing is it doesn't like matter because I had someone else ask me like I'm like, do you have to believe in it to actually get a healing to let it in? And I was like, no, because I've worked on people like I've worked on a family member who I don't think likes me, totally different political beliefs and um but he was in pain and I was like, I
Yeah.
have this thing I can help you, and he thought I was crazy, and so on and so forth, and but I worked on him anyways, and then he texted me, he's like, oh my God, like, I don't know how you did it, but the pain's gone.
Oh
So
my.
like, it doesn't matter if you're like, that stuff is a bunch of, hooey. It doesn't matter. It still
Did you
works.
do that in person or on
No, I did it
Zoom?
remotely because you can
Yeah.
work on a photograph. So I worked on his photograph.
Well, that may sound crazy, but it's also true with Qigong. So that says to me that even more confirmation that we're made of energy. I mean, this is
Mhm.
what Einstein said, more than 100 years ago, and was
Mhm.
true forever before that, of course. But
Yeah.
we're just remembering it. And what I find so wonderful is that when we realize that we're made of this universal intelligence that's loving, it's kind of like, well, if everybody is, then why would I, if I was the universe and I'm looking at my hand, do I hate my hand? Oh, I just hate you. It's not separate, it's part of you.
Yeah.
So to remember that is just so kind, and everybody's looking for kind, everybody wants to be heard, everybody
Hmm.
wants to be seen, and everybody wants to be loved. And to me, Qigong or this other practice or practices of energy work really is about remembering that. And with every
Hmm.
breath, you can fill yourself with love. And,
Hmm.
you got to just do it. And part
Yeah.
of it's like, but I'm so used to hating myself. It's going to take
Hmm.
time, right? It's
Yeah.
going to take time
Yeah.
to really believe that you can be kind to yourself. And then I tell you, everything turns around.
Exactly.
Businesses open up, your health improves, your relation, you meet wonderful people like Jason. Just, I mean, from Alice told me
Yeah.
about Jason. So
That
here
was
we
so
are,
amazing. Uh-huh.
like-minded, caring, loving people who want to help heal. I think that's just a beautiful message, Jason.
Hmm. Hmm. And it
Yeah.
reminds me too, like you talking about like not wanting to hate yourself. And like that was also part of the journey that I took when I said, like, I don't feel good enough. I feel like nobody likes me and all that. the inward journey, like it seems counterintuitive, but for me, it's about going into it, where you think you're like, oh, I just want to like push it away.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I don't want to feel that way. You know what I mean?
right.
I want to push it away so I can go out and like do what I need to do. But the secret is to go inward and to like
Exactly.
bring the energy, bring the breath, and say I'm here to listen. Like, oh, you don't feel good enough. Like, why don't you feel good enough? And like go into it. And sometimes there'll be like a
Precisely.
memory attached, and
Mhm.
you can go into the memory and like really experience the memory, like, oh, and just like love that part, love the part, because it's like you don't want to love the part that feels those icky feelings, but it's important to love those parts and give those parts a voice, because that's how they unravel.
Yeah, I mean, to me, love is the most transmutative, transformative energy. And guess what? It's free. We're
Mm-hmm.
made of it. We just have
Mm-hmm.
to remember that. And I do the same thing with acupressure point tapping on different
Mm-hmm.
meridian points,
Mm-hmm.
talking people through their painful stuff. But you know what? The most common thing I found, I don't know about you, but our fear, human fear, is that I don't want to go there because it'll just open Pandora's box and be,
Mm-hmm.
it'll go
Mm-hmm.
on for the rest of my life. I have found 3 minutes around that. It's just minutes. You
Yeah.
face the pain, you do some energy work. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
talk therapy. You're actually working with an energy healer like Jason, or tapping, meditation, etc., yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just can leave your energy field. It can
Mm-hmm.
leave your life.
Yeah.
It's such a hopeful message. I just really
Yeah.
would love everybody to hear what you have to say about it.
And I think with confidence and doubt and all that too, it's really helpful to have a daily practice. Like for instance, like with this work that I do, it has like a daily practice. And like I think any kind of daily practice, but when you're going inward and connecting to something bigger than you, you're connecting to universal energy, you're connecting to universal love. You're connecting, like you're like in the Vedas, it's like the Atman within and the Brahman. The Brahman is like totality, infinity, and then the Atman is the spark of that's within you. So it's like you have
Mhm.
the ocean and then you have the drop of the ocean, but the drop of the
Mhm.
ocean and the ocean is the same thing.
Yeah.
So like when we have a practice daily where we can go in and go back into the ocean, we realize it's not just us, like, you know what I mean? It's the weight of the world isn't on our shoulders. We just have to work with the universe and allow it to flow through us.
Yeah.
And I think if we have a daily practice, it just gives us that deep knowing that, oh, we just have to like let go and go with the flow.
Do
So I
you
think
find
having,
that, excuse me, go
yeah,
ahead.
having a daily practice and
Yeah.
connecting every day really helps me with my confidence and doubt and just that deep knowing that I'm taken care of by the universe and I can go out and help others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have a master in
Yeah, I have
Bali?
a master healer and high priest in Bali that I work with, and this is actually his recipe. So again, in Bali, this healing is very common. But his story is he grew up very poor, and he was like one of those kids that would come and sell you little candies to help bring money home to his family. And as he got older, he thought like, I want to become a bodybuilder and a boxer, like I can make money doing that. And so he really pursued boxing and bodybuilding, and he started getting the call to become a healer. Like spirit started calling him and he's like, no, 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 I don't want to do
No,
that.
you don't understand. I want to be a boxer.
Exactly, that's what he kept saying. And then so after a while he started getting ill, and they're like, it's time to be a healer, and he was getting ill and he's like, no, 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 I don't want to do that. But finally he started getting so ill that he was losing weight and he couldn't be a bodybuilder or a boxer. And so then it progressed so bad that he was severely ill, and he went to the temple and they did a whole ceremony on him, and then he was miraculously healed, and then he surrendered and was like, okay, I'll do it, I'll become a healer. And then he could just touch people and heal them. And so he did that for a long time. And then he created this whole recipe, which is like mantra and also using the Kundalini energy, like activating your Kundalini from the root and bringing it all the way up through your chakras and then out through your hands. And that's how it carries the healing energy. And so he created this whole practice where you could pass it down from teacher to student. And so similar to like Sensei Asui with like Reiki, where it's, you know, the lineage is passed down from him. This work, this Shiwamurti comes from Ratu Nabe is his name. And so he passes it down from teacher to student. And so
Well,
this is where this energy, sort of the energy channel comes from, and this work comes from.
Got it. And my Qigong master also says, miracles are natural.
Yeah.
We think that they're just the biggest, rarest deal, but they don't have to be.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. What would you offer for someone that, like myself, type A, working in a medical lab, rush, rush, go, go? It's really hard to sit still, Jason. I don't know. How can I do that? It's like pulling fingernails to sit still for 5 minutes. Any
I
thoughts?
always tell people, like, start with 1 minute, because the mind, like if you say like, oh, I really should meditate, I should do 20 minutes, the mind will be like, what are you talking about?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like I always say, just start with a minute and like use a timer so you're not wondering like, is it a minute yet? And then so you just let go. And then after doing a minute for a while, like all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, that feels good. I like that bit of peace. And then I say, well, then go up to 2 minutes, and then you do 2 minutes for a while, and
That's
then
beautiful.
all of a sudden that feels good. And then you just keep going from there.
I can't imagine not doing it now. It's like being in a warm embrace in a warm bathtub, or snorkeling in Hawaii, or
Exactly.
it's just so kind and peaceful and nurturing. And that's what's going to heal us.
Yeah.
Heal us.
Exactly.
Well, I really appreciate you being here. And
Yay.
we'll look for the links to your classes and events and so forth.
Yes,
in the
definitely.
comments. And thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks, Judy. This is so wonderful. Such a wonderful space you've created. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It feels good to be of service, like you said.
Yeah.
Great. See you next time.
Bye.